Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and launch the chat here just for you guys to go ahead and comment. All right. Feel free to test that chat out and drop in the comments maybe where you're calling in from. We always like to make sure people have access to the chat just in case any questions come up throughout the webinar, but it's always fun to see where all of our Scribe users are calling in from. Maria mentioned she's calling in from San Francisco, so am I. Oh, nice. Orlando. Hello, David. Nice. Florida, welcome. Amazing. Well, if you haven't already, feel free to just drop a hi. If you did want to check it out, oh, awesome. Welcome, everyone. We're really excited to share a little bit more about collaboration as a team here today at Scribe. But just to go ahead and kick off introductions, my name's Allison. I'm with the customer success team here at Scribe, and I'll pass it off to Maria to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria, also with the customer success team at Scribe, and very excited to just go over collaboration with your team.
Awesome. And then you might also see Meg on the call. She'll be here just assisting in the chat. So before we get started, a couple of things to note. Not only will we have the main chat open, but we additionally have the Q&A box open at the bottom of the little toolbar. So feel free to drop comments at any point in there. We really encourage you to kind of follow along today or just try it out. After we finish, we'll leave some space at the end for us to answer any questions you may have or help troubleshoot something that may have come up in the process. So feel free to drop anything, but other than that, we'll go ahead and launch a poll. We'd be really curious to hear your Scribe use case, just so we can get a little bit more familiar with, what you're typically using Scribe for and try to tailor the call a little bit. So went ahead and launched that, so feel free to fill that out. Awesome. Internal SOPs, new hire onboarding. Great. Nice. Lots of internal SOPs. Great. Awesome. I'll leave that up for just a second here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Great. Thank you, everyone, for filling that out. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. So welcome to Scribe Spotlight. This is an interactive webinar series we actually just recently launched. So you may have attended one of our Scribe 101 webinars in the past, and you might be wondering, okay, what's the difference between the two? In short, Scribe 101 is a really in-depth, comprehensive overview of Scribe as a tool and kind of gets into everything that it has to offer. And it's specifically designed for people who maybe need either a refresher or just getting started out. But Scribe Spotlight is more designed for maybe you've been using the tool for a little bit, created a few documents, and you want to learn a little bit more of a specific topic. So we've focused on things like editing and sharing the past couple of weeks, and today's collaborating with your team. So we'll mainly be focusing on that. But just to overview what we'll be getting into, we're gonna first start off and highlight why collaboration really matters for your team, and then we'll segue into really how to use Scribe to collaborate with your team members, and we'll mention some best practices and use cases throughout. And then we'll leave some time at the end for you to actually try it out yourself, like I mentioned, and drop any questions you have in the chat. So I know most of us have already used the tool a little bit, but we always like to show the slide just as an overview of what we really do as a company. Our main goal is to automatically document and scale how your team's work gets done. And I feel everyone kind of knows us as the software that's going to help you document faster, but we excel at a couple of other things very well, in my opinion, such as we help you find your answers more easily. And then additionally, we ensure your work gets done right. So, what I mean by that is once people start to implement Scribe within their team, they notice that people are able to start to, answer their own questions. And then additionally, they've noticed consistency starts to drive up within their team, obviously, because once you build up a stronger knowledge base, people are typically following like a stronger set of workflows and everyone's aligned and on the same page. So you might be wondering, why does collaboration really matter? Obviously, documentation can take a lot of time, and Scribe definitely streamlines that. But in terms of really involving your team members and getting that documentation task out of the way, it's important to kind of loop in other team members and, make sure everyone's on the same page, or even things such as like getting feedback. There's so many different avenues Scribe offers in terms of collaboration that I feel a lot of people tend to overlook. So we're really excited to share a little bit more of how to really maximize your time with Scribe in terms of collaboration today. But I'll go ahead and get started. So right now I am on my Scribe dashboard. And I've segued over to clicking the tasks tab. So essentially, I can actually assign tasks to my team members and individuals. Maybe I know I've heard a lot of people are really trying to get a strong knowledge base and document things that may have been overlooked in the past. And sometimes we like to include other team members in this, but we want a structured way of kind of keeping track of what's been done, what's in progress, maybe what's been completed already. The tasks is a lovely avenue to kind of keep this all in one spot within Scribe. So essentially, I'll show you how to add a task. I'll go ahead and make a label here and just title it. So maybe I'm starting to do a new try to build up a stronger knowledge base, like I mentioned. So maybe we're just recently working with Workday. I'll say create a workflow and for Workday. Then I can go ahead and assign it. I'm going to go ahead and assign it to Maria, who's on this call on my team. I can additionally select when I want this task to be completed by. So maybe I'll just give it this until next week, but you could do tomorrow, for example, whatever day you see fit. And then essentially, now that I've added Maria to that, she will automatically get an email in her inbox saying that I've included her on a task and when that completion date is due. So essentially, not only does Maria get in the know right away, I can also keep track of progress. For example, if I wanted to, keep track of that, right now it shows as not started, but we can also change this to in progress or even completed. So then from there, you see that it automatically moved to the completed tasks bucket. So very nice way to kind of keep track again of what's been done or maybe what people are currently working on and in progress. The next thing I want to highlight is the ability to pull insights. So not only can you pull a little bit of analytics and data in terms of who's interacting with your scribes, you can also look at it at a larger picture way through the dashboard. So I'll first start by showing you how you can navigate that within a individual scribe. So I've created this one yesterday. For example, if I wanted to check, okay, maybe who's interacted with this so far, has there been good engagement, maybe lower? Maybe then if it's lower, I can look into other ways I can share it to my team. But to view this, I would click this little chart button and out pops a sidebar. You can see that I can view the amount of total views, completions, completion rates. Additionally, who out of my teammates have viewed this and any guests. This is especially helpful, again, if you're maybe just starting out using Scribe or maybe trying to really understand what's grabbing people's attention with Scribe and what's working and ways to improve. So I mentioned you can view this on an individual Scribe case basis, but you can also look at it as an overview. So, for example, I'm back at my general dashboard for Scribe, and I've clicked the Insights tab. This gives me a more broader idea of what the general insights look like for me. So, for example, I can see 33 docs have been created, the completion rate, the amount of viewers, additionally, how it's been shared, the overall share rate, and the amount of documents that are included within the statistic. We also have this really nice visual, as you can see, so super easy to navigate, and I feel like that's my favorite part about Scribe is overall, it's very user-friendly in terms of understanding who's interacted with your scribes. I can additionally scroll and see who my top viewers are on my documents and see my top documents. I additionally can navigate over to my overall organizations insights. So as you can see, we can see that same chart and a little bit of a different statistics because this is now pulling that overall organization insight. So very helpful for me to see, especially if you're someone who's more involved in a documentation process. I know a lot of people mentioned they're doing a lot of documentation of SOPs. This is a good way to really track how's it going. And then, of course, from this data, you can make any adjustments. And maybe if you're finding that you're running into maybe a lower share rate or completion rate, you can always reach out to success@scribehow.com and get any feedback in terms of how you can really maximize your usage with Scribe. The last thing I want to go over before I pass it off to Maria within the Scribe dashboard is the ability to separate out your content through folders. So for a quick overview, those who are on our base modules, that includes only one workspace. So the way to really section out your content would be to create these folders. So I've navigated to all documents with this little folders button. And you can see I already have a couple of folders created like sales onboarding, ramp period. Maybe you have people from a few different teams and you kind of want to have a place that separates it out a bit. You can always add a folder. So the way I would go about doing this is click create add folder, name it. So I can just say scribe demo, for example, but you can also do something like HR or maybe a more specific workflow for a platform like Notion, for example. And I'll just click create. Up pops that. And all I would do is I would just go ahead and drag it within the folder itself. So now you can see the Guide Me Zoom demo popped up within that. I do want to note if you are running into the issue of you're on base and you feel like you're constantly kind of uh, having like an issue with a shared workspace, we do offer a next plan up that has multiple workspaces. So if you are interested in that, you can drop interested in the chat and we can reach out to you after this webinar and discuss all the options. But I would say a lot of people would make that transition in the way that they have a bunch of users in their base and they realize that maybe finance, HR, recruiting is sharing one workspace and it might get a little bit more hectic. We do have an opportunity to separate that out and it can be a little bit more organized. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Maria to share a little bit more about collaboration.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Allison, for giving us a brief introduction to what that looks like, especially within a workspace. What I'm going to be showing you here are going to be specific to individual scribes. And so when you're collaborating within a scribe, Allison already showed you the ability to look at analytics within that scribe itself, but I'm going to show you a couple of other ways that you can really explore collaboration here. And I think my screen is still sharing, so hopefully it's only going to take a little bit longer. Okay, perfect. Here it is. And so here is a scribe that I just created. We have a couple of things to note here. The first thing is a feature that we recently launched. And this is the comments feature. If you've been in our Scribe 101s, you've probably heard us talk about this a lot. But this is something that we always like to mention because it is such a great and simple way to just tag someone that you would like feedback from or whatever else. So I'll tag Allison and say, would love feedback. And this is really great if you have like maybe one or two people that you would really like input from, because what this does is when you tag that person and send it out, Allison is also going to get an email that says that I have mentioned her in a specific scribe. So a little bit similar to that task feature, but specific to the scribe itself. And what's really awesome about this is that you can actually comment on a specific step. And so if there's one where you're not really sure if the wording is quite right, if you've highlighted a specific thing within the photo itself, etc., it's really great to be a little bit more granular. And on the flip side of that, once Allison actually sees my message, what she can do is then respond to my comment, add additional feedback, etc. In terms of managing those comments, you can actually click show comments right here and see which ones are active and which ones are resolved. And you can just click this check mark right here once it's been resolved, and it'll just pop up here on the resolved bar. I'm going to pause here to let you guys kind of trial that a little bit, and then I'll move forward with how you're able to directly share with someone. So in terms of directly sharing with specific individuals, if you click share right here, you can share directly with someone specific. So if I wanted to share this again with Allison specifically, I could do that here, and I could change between can edit, can view, or remove her completely. You've probably seen how you can actually share this. So you can share this as an embed, as an export, and this is something we go a little bit into depth with in our Scribe 101. But in terms of sharing a specific scribe, especially when it comes to different coworkers or across your company, we always recommend to toggle it to anyone with the link can view, especially if you're embedding the scribe within Notion, within SharePoint, or an internal intranet that you have. But if you are interested in looking into potentially making sure that your access is a lot more secure, so having those authenticated viewers, and make sure that your scribes are within just your company itself, then we're happy to share what that looks like within our next plan. Again, similar to what Allison said, if you would like to just comment interested in what that looks like in terms of authenticated viewers, we're happy to share more information later. And then the last thing that I'll share here before moving into our Pages feature is the ability to look at your version history. So say me and Allison were collaborating on this one specific scribe. I prompt her to make certain edits, to add feedback, etc., and she makes those edits in real time. Say Allison also wants Meg's perspective on this, and Meg also creates those edits in real time. What's really awesome is this version history tab here, so you can see who made what changes, and if there's maybe a specific thing that Allison didn't like, then I can just go back to that saved version and restore that version right here. For those who are on our base plan, you have this up to 6 months of version history. But again, if you like something a little bit longer, if you have processes that have been edited and changed within that year, we're happy to, again, talk more about that as it is included in our next plan up. Cool. Any questions regarding anything I mentioned, whether it be from comments, from sharing directly, or version history here? Cool. If any questions come your way, again, happy to answer them. Just comment, or you guys can also use the Q&A feature, and we're really happy to assist with anything else. The last thing that I like to always highlight when it comes to sharing and collaborating with different people is the ability to actually create pages. And this is going to be explained more in depth in our next Scribe Spotlight session. But this is something that I like to share that's actually from our customer themselves, and they've created a help center right here. So for example, if you have a collection of scribes that you want your company or specific department to see, this is a really great way to put all of your scribes and all of your thoughts into one page. How we really like describing pages is that if a scribe is a recipe, then pages is a cookbook. If you've gone to a couple of our scribe sessions, then you've heard us say that a billion times. But this is really an awesome way to collaborate with other individuals across your department and company, because you're able to kind of put all of your thoughts and all of your scribes into one page. And again, we'll share that in our next Scribe Spotlight and final one for this month. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and share with you a couple of other exciting things that we have in store. And so today is our third week, and we're talking about building and collaborating as a team. And so our last Scribe Spotlight for the month is going to be on pages and organization. And so if that last part looked really interesting to you, and you want to learn more about it, we really recommend going to that session for next week. And then in terms of our topics for September, we're going to be sending that out later this month to showcase what exactly we're going to be talking about within that month. But we have a couple of minutes here, and so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if you guys have any questions, we'd love to answer them or troubleshoot anything live. Kara asked, are there ways to access previous sessions? Yes, absolutely. I believe we're going to be posting them publicly, actually, and we can also send you a recording of that session. Cool. Any other questions here before we wrap up? Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining and for listening about collaboration. We'll be sending a follow-up email with this video recording, as well as a couple of resources regarding collaboration. Again, we're happy to answer any questions asynchronously via success@scribehow.com. And we also have a survey at the end of this webinar. So if you guys could fill that out, give us some feedback, and even give us some recommendations on what you'd like to see next. We'd love to hear your guys' insights and feedback there. But thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.